One sentence, that's all it took for the internet to spin out. Effective immediately, banned for life. The line hit like a siren. Shorts popped, stitches multiplied, and suddenly everyone swore the league had dropped its harshest penalty on its most famous star. People said there were tapes. People said there were secret meetings. People said a cover finally burst and the league couldn't hide it anymore. It felt dramatic, final, and almost inevitable because drama moves faster than proof. But here's what never arrived: the paper. When something that permanent happens in pro sports, you see the notice, you hear the union, and you watch the legal team step forward. That avalanche didn't come. Instead, the quiet, boring truth sat in plain sight. A contract already signed, a jersey already pulled on, and box scores updating like clockwork. The gap between what people shouted and what the record showed was huge, and that gap is the real story. This isn't a single line ending a career. It's a season boiling over. Officiating anger, big money deals, and a labor deadline that makes every rumor sound bigger than it is. So let's step out of the echo chamber and into the receipts. The headline was built to explode. Investigators dig through messages, refs get named. A dramatic voice hints at recordings. Then a mic drop ruling wipes out a career. It's the kind of package that thrives in a 60-second loop. Bold text, tense music, a confident narrator, and just enough mystery to make you fill in the blanks. Say there's audio, and the audience will hear it in their heads, even if no one ever plays a second of proof. Now step off the carousel and ask the only questions that matter. Where is the moment? What day? What room? Who stood at the podium? Where's the transcript? Who published the first official notice? Viral uploads repeat the same lines, but none of them land on a document you can read or a press conference you can replay. That's the first crack. The second is louder. The rumor declares erased, but the public record says active. You don't get banned for life and then trot out for minutes 3 nights later. You don't disappear and also lead your team on the road. When the most visible facts don't match the biggest claim collapses. There's also a power problem baked into the pitch. The videos pin everything on Adam Silver because his name is massive and the NBA funds so much of the W. But the WNBA has its own boss and its own disciplinary process. A punishment like that would travel through those channels, carry those signatures, and hit those sites first. Putting Silver front and center makes the story sound grand. It doesn't make it accurate. And here's the human piece. This season felt chaotic. Players complained, coaches bristled, fans were already convinced something was off. In that mood, a dramatic lifetime ban sounds like balance, the universe correcting itself. That's why the rumor moved faster than the truth. It didn't need evidence, it only needed to echo what people already felt. Ready to test the feeling against the map of authority? Let's do that next. Adam Silver runs the NBA. Discipline in the WNBA sits with Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, hired in May 2019 to oversee league operations and penalties. If a lifetime ruling ever landed on a WNBA player, it would appear on WNBA channels with Engelbert's name, followed by an immediate response from the players' union. Not as a stray line in a viral clip. The Washington Post, WNBA. Yes, the NBA is deeply invested. The NBA owns roughly 60% of the WNBA, and it negotiated the new media package alongside that financial weight explains why rumor videos center Silver, but process still runs through the WNBA. A punishment that severe would be documented by the league, echoed by AP's ESPN, and mirrored on team and stat pages. None of that exists. The Washington Post, the Washington Post. Look at precedent. When the WNBA acted in major cases, it left a paper trail. Brittney Griner received a 3-game suspension in 2019 after an on-court fight, announced publicly and carried by the wires. In 2023, the league suspended Becky Hammon and stripped Las Vegas of a 2025 first-round pick after interviewing 30-plus people, again via formal findings. A true lifetime ban would generate far more documentation. It hasn't, because it didn't happen. Start with what's real, not what's loud. On February 1st, 2025, the league announced Brittney Griner had officially signed with the Atlanta Dream. That wasn't a rumor, it was the team and league putting it in writing and distributing it to every desk that covers basketball. From there, the record is routine in the best way. ESPN lists her status, active number 42, with a 2025 stat line and a live game log. Pull up the Dream Team page and she's sitting at the top of the field goal percentage column. Those pages are the first places that would flip if a lifetime penalty existed, and they show the opposite: steady participation and nightly updates. The box scores make it plain. July 24th, 2025 in Phoenix. Atlanta wins 90-79, Alicia Gray leads, and Griner posts 17 points and 8 boards in her first game back there as a visitor. That's AP on ESPN. with a matching Reuters summary pushed on social. July 27th in Minneapolis, Atlanta ends the Lynx' 14-0 home start, 90-86, and Griner drops a season-high 22, documented by AP on ESPN and echoed by CBS Minnesota and other outlets. You don't disappear, and also lead your team through a streak-busting win on the road. This season turned whistles into the main character. Players and coaches kept saying the standard wobbled. Tight one night, loose the next, and the data gave the gripe teeth. ESPN reported teams are averaging 18.7 fouls per game, the highest since 2017, while most other metrics sit near historical norms. Translation: volume isn't extreme, but inconsistency feels constant, which is exactly the kind of ambiguity that drives fans crazy and feeds darker theories when games get chippy. Then a single, clean flashpoint poured gas on everything. Sophie Cunningham posted a TikTok taking a shot at some refs, and the league dinged her $500. She joked about it on X, the clip exploded, and suddenly the conversation left rumor channels and hit mainstream desks. Proof to a lot of viewers that criticism gets punished while problems linger. The fine was small. The message felt huge. The league couldn't shrug it off. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert publicly acknowledged the complaints, called consistency the name of the game, and said the office is actively evaluating how to steady standards as the sport speeds up. That response matters, but until fans feel a shift on the floor, every hard foul and swing call will reload the same suspicion. Is this just tough basketball, or is something tilting the table? That uncertainty is exactly why a dramatic lifetime ban headline found oxygen even without receipts. Recordings is the magic word. Say it and people picture late-night calls, refs being steered, games tilted from the shadows. But when you look for the basics that make audio real, time, place, a transcript, and a newsroom willing to publish and stand behind authentication, there's nothing. The deepest mainstream piece on this year's officiating heat lays out the data and the player frustration, yet never mentions any verified tapes tying a player to tampering. If those files existed, that story would have led with them. It didn't. What we do see are social videos promising shocking audio and thumbnails shouting about a commissioner destroying refs. Those rack up views, but credible outlets tracking this saga stick to what's verifiable. Officiating is under fire, players are vocal, and fines are being handed out. None of the AP, Reuters, or ESPN coverage cites authenticated recordings. AP's write-up of Sophie Cunningham's $500 fine, for example, frames it as part of the officiating backlash, without a hint of leaked audio. Reuters even issued a separate fact-check, knocking down a rumor that the league launched a special probe into games involving Caitlin Clark. Underscoring the pattern, big claims, thin receipts. Game recaps keep documenting Griner's production, which would be impossible if a secret lifetime penalty really dropped. Until a trusted newsroom publishes audio with sourcing and forensic review, recordings are just a word designed to make a rumor feel inevitable. This storyline keeps coming back because it provokes clicks, not because it's proven. Reliable desks have already taken it apart. PolitiFact found no evidence supporting claims that Brittney Griner is male, noting she has long discussed bullying over her height and appearance, and has posted childhood photos. Reuters separately showed a widely shared CNN screenshot about a forced DNA test was fabricated. Newsweek reached the same conclusion and added that Griner has never identified as transgender. PolitiFact, Reuters, Newsweek. If there were legitimate documents, mainstream outlets would publish them with sourcing and on-the-record responses. Instead, we see the opposite. Snopes tracks recurring hoaxes tied to Griner, including claims of secret investigations and fake quotes. Media-wise, Pointer and Check Your Fact also debunked the DNA test graphic. When multiple independent fact-checkers converge like this, the burden shifts to anyone pushing the rumor, and they haven't produced verifiable records. Snopes, TikTok, checkyourfact.com. Griner herself has addressed the way people police her body. In ESPN's Body Issue feature, she talked about being misgendered in public spaces and why she chose to show her body on her own terms. None of that supports the rumor. It explains why it spreads. The respectful filter is simple. Look for an official notice, a reputable newsroom willing to print evidence, and primary documents. If those pieces aren't there, and they aren't, treat the claim as baseless and move on. The volume is high because the stakes just jumped. The WNBA locked an 11-year media package worth about $2.2 billion, roughly $200 million a year with Disney, Amazon, and NBC Universal. The league says the partners will distribute 125-plus games annually beginning in 2026, while the AP notes 100-plus regular season games on national platforms. That exposure rewires expectations overnight. At the same time, outlets reported the W was projected to lose about $40 million in 2024, fueling pressure from investors who want clearer ROI timelines. Sports Pro first detailed the number and owner frustration. The Guardian repeated the figure, and the Washington Post has tracked how the NBA, which owns roughly 60% of the WNBA, negotiated the rights on the women's side. Influence is real, but discipline still runs through the WNBA. Players point to their slice. Under the current CBA, athletes get about 9.3% of league revenue, far below the approximately 50% shares common in other U.S. leagues. That's why All-Stars wore "Pay us what you owe us," and why bargaining is loud. Costs are rising too. The league committed $50 million over 2 years to full-time charter flights, roughly $25 million per season, a long-sought safety upgrade that still has to be paid for. And expansion adds gasoline. The WNBA will reach 18 teams by 2030, Cleveland 2028, Detroit 2029, and Philadelphia 2030 join after Portland and Toronto, and each new team paid a $250 million fee, all three with NBA ownership groups. Front Office Sports also notes the equity split many insiders cite: 42% NBA owners, 42% NBA team owners, 16% 2022 investor group. Big checks raise expectations and amplify every rumor when frustrations flare. There's a deadline staring everyone down. The players opted out last fall, and the current CBA expires on October 31st, 2025. 2 days before All-Star, more than 40 players met with the league. 2 days later, every All-Star warmed up in black tees that read, "Pay us what you owe us," while fans chanted the same message. That wasn't theater, it was a pressure play before the final sprint of negotiations. ESPN.com, 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 ESPN.com. Reuters. Now map that urgency to how real discipline lands. When the WNBA actually drops a major penalty, it publishes findings and names. In 2019, the league suspended Brittney Griner 3 games after the Phoenix-Dallas fight, announced publicly and mirrored by the wires. In 2023, after interviewing more than 30 people, the WNBA suspended Becky Hammon and rescinded Las Vegas's 2025 first-round pick, with detailed reasoning and immediate national coverage. A lifetime ban on a global star would generate far more paperwork, union statements, and appeals. None exist because no such ban happened. ESPN.com Yahoo Sports Las Vegas Review Journal. And stepping back, the business stakes explain the noise. The league has the approximately $2.2 billion 11-year media deal beginning in 2026, is expanding to 18 teams by 2030, and has committed about $25 million per year to full-time charter flights. Serious dollars alongside headlines about $40 million in 2024 losses, and the NBA owning roughly 60% of the big money plus big costs, plus a hard deadline equals maximum rumor velocity. That's exactly why claims without documents should be treated as content, not evidence. Here's the truth that cuts through the noise. Brittney Griner wasn't erased. She signed with Atlanta on February 1st, 2025, is listed active on ESPN, and just logged 17 points, 8 boards in Phoenix before dropping a season-high 22 to snap Minnesota's 14-0 home streak. If a lifetime ban existed, you'd see a formal WNBA notice, a union response, and wall-to-wall desk coverage. Instead, you see a contract, a jersey, and fresh box scores. So why did the rumor move? Because this season is hot. Officiating has been the loudest storyline. Sophie Cunningham really was fined $500 for a TikTok. And players just use the All-Star stage to demand a bigger, fairer share as the October 31st CBA deadline looms. Add a $2.2 billion media deal and rapid expansion, and every claim sounds bigger. Big isn't proof. Proof still looks like 3 things: an official notice, a union reply, and independent reporting. If those aren't there, you're probably staring at engagement bait. Keep watching the court, not the thumbnails. If a real bombshell drops, you'll see the documents first, and you won't need anyone's dramatic voiceover to know it's real. Subscribe for more, and don't forget to click that like button.